for me. Blood in my dog and I can't see. I'm trying to be what I'm destined to be. And niggas trying to take my life away. I put a hole in a nigga for fucking with me.
What's up, YouTube? It's been a few weeks since I uploaded a normal working on cars video, but I do have some projects to do, so let's get right into it. If you watched my last video from the Villains event, you'll see that I had to stop on track and Shane had nowhere to go, so he ran into me. So that's why my front end is taken off the Ecotec S14. But also, the event before that, I actually bottomed out on one of the rumble strips and cracked the oil pan. So I JB welded it and went to the last event and it just dripped a little bit. But as you can see, sitting for 2 weeks, it almost empties the oil pan. So what I did was I went ahead and got online, ordered a new OEM oil pan. It was only like 35 bucks. So now I'm gonna swap that out. I do have one of my old R34 coupes back from my buddy Austin. So he bought it over a year ago and decided he has too many cars right now. And he actually came over and bought the RB S14 and decided to ask me to get rid of this. So this is on Marketplace right now for sale. It is a very nice GT. It was originally an auto RB20 car, but now it is a RB25 NA Neo with the 5-speed swap. It has 10 coilovers. I put some nice brand new wheels and tires on. It's got some GT style spoiler and a GTR style Urus body kit. So hit me up if you're interested. I do have some people interested in it already, but if you see this video and you want it, hit me up, or just look on Facebook Marketplace and you can see a bunch of details and pictures and a price and all that. Austin bought the RB car without the wheels and tires because he wanted a set of white wheels. So I went ahead and put those wheels and tires on my GTT 34. I still haven't put the coilovers on yet, but the wheels were just sitting here, so I decided to bolt them on. Look pretty good. Also still have the Mark II. Well, this is the problem right now, so let's dive into swapping this oil pan. This is also my first actual job that I really need a lift for, so I'm super excited to have the lift to do this oil pan, since I'm going to be doing it all from underneath and leaving the motor in the car. I did already have this upper engine support, so it just sits on the strut towers, and then it has 2 spots to hold the engine. So that way when I drop the subframe and pull the pan off from the bottom, it'll still have the tranny bolts in holding a lot of the weight, but this will also support the engine weight. So let's get started. Got the wheels off, got the control arms disconnected, tie rods disconnected, draining the rest of the oil out. And then over here, I had to take this tie rod off so I could get to both of the power steering hoses. And then I got the steering shaft disconnected. So once this drains most of the oil out, I can put the plug back in, and I should, I also got the engine mount bolts off. So now when the oil is done draining, I'll plug it, and I should be able to take these 4 subframe bolts off, 2 on this side and 2 on that side, and then drop the whole subframe out. And then that'll expose all the bolts for the oil pan. You can see the motor supported by that. And the subframe is out. Trying to give you an idea. Looks kind of cool. Drivetrain just floating in there. Got the subframe on the transmission jack. You can see how it was modified for the Ecotec oil pan. And there you can see my goober job of JB weld. Still leaking. So now I should be able to buzz all these bolts off, clean the surface, and put the new oil pan on. That wasn't so bad. You can see I got the oil pan off. So here's the old oil pan compared to the new one. See the old one? It's cracked down in there somewhere. And there's the new guy. Well, before I throw this away, I thought I'd show you the crack. And there it is. The new oil pan is on. I can't believe I just swapped an oil pan with a white shirt. Actually didn't do too bad. So what I did was I just snugged all the fasteners around it to make sure all the bolts would line up in case it had to move back and forth, left to right. So now that all the fasteners are finger tight, I'm gonna probably let it sit overnight. So the RTV will settle and get kind of gummy. So when I tighten it, it'll actually create a good seal. If you tighten them when the RTV is fresh, sometimes it'll just squeeze all the RTV out. And we got plans tonight. So it's getting kind of late in the afternoon. So I'm gonna let that sit. And tomorrow after work, I'll finish tightening up all the fasteners for the oil pan and put the subframe back in and put it all back together. It is the next day and I'm back on the Ecotec. And I just realized a screw up. So if you look at the oil pan, it's actually quite deep in the center, but it's got these bracing wings that come down. And I didn't realize till just now that the old oil pan, Nate had chopped all that stuff out of there to make a nice big opening for the steering rack. Because you can see the oil pan pretty much drops down in this groove, but then the steering rack sticks up. So I wish I would have noticed that before I bolted it on. I don't really feel like taking it off, cleaning it all, re-siliconing it, just so I can grind that stuff out on the workbench. So I'm gonna grind it out on the car. Fun. Got the subframe in, notched the oil pan for the steering rack and the subframe. So I got the subframe in. I noticed that my engine mount bracket bolts were all loose. Probably every time I hit the gas and the brakes, that's probably the clunking I was hearing that I couldn't find. So brackets are tight, engine mounts are tight, subframe's tight. Now I just got to put the rest of the suspension arms back on, the traction arms and the sway bar, fill it up with oil and start it. Back together. So I got the oil pan swapped out, got the subframe back in, steering shaft hooked up and centered, all the adjustable arms and steering components hooked up, fresh oil, fresh filter, fresh power steering fluid, and she's good. Next on the to-do list is finally touching the new R34 GTT. Probably actually run these wheels when I do the body conversion. But I think tomorrow I'm gonna lift it up on the lift, put some fresh oil in it, and install the Silver's coilovers. I've already got those up in the loft. So I'm gonna get those on. Probably not gonna lower it a lot because of this wheel fitment. Just drop it down a little bit and give her a little better suspension feel for the next couple months while I drive it around before it goes under the knife. Been kind of moving all the cars around in the shop. This weekend is ORP. So if you don't know about it, a couple of buddies of mine are having Festival of Speed at a track in Grass Valley, Oregon. It's a 2.3 mile road course. It was built by a bunch of motorcycle guys in the Portland area. It doesn't get very much use out there, and it's a beautiful facility. We've had a couple drift events over the years out there, and the next one is this weekend. So if you're in the Pacific Northwest and you have a car that you want to drift or a car that you just want to track for fun, it would be a perfect time to go out there, just pay the entry fee as a driver, and there'll be certain times through the day where you can just drive whatever car you got. The Ecotec car doesn't really make enough power to have fun at that track. I would just be, you know, momentum drifting into all the corners at high speed and then probably not making it through the corner, and definitely not linking to the next corner because it is a really long sweeping track. But I think I'll probably go out there and hang out. So I am gonna prep the R34 for this weekend with the fresh oil and the coilovers. So that way, just for fun, you know, while I'm there hanging out and going for ride-alongs and drift cars, it'll be fun to have something to cruise around during the time attack times. Check it out if you're in the area. You can like the video if you want and leave a comment if you want, and stay tuned for more. Peace.